Hi, everyone, and thank you for being here. I am again excited to be putting the spotlight on one of the phenomenal, intelligent, driven women who have gone through our program here at NSTAR Technologies. I am super proud of her journey, and I know she's super proud of her journey. And I know that everyone listening to this video and anyone who's sharing this with their friends are going to be inspired by just how she has come along and all that she did to be where she's at today. And so without me saying anything else, I'm going to pass the microphone over to Miss Rachael for her to introduce herself. So can we get to meet you, Miss Rachael?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thanks, Stella, for this opportunity. I'm definitely glad to do this interview with you and to inspire as much women as I can. So my name is Rachael, like Stella said, and I actually took her Scrum Master class because I was getting into trying to understand what Scrum is all about and trying to see if it's something that I can do and a new career path that I can take. So that's how I met Stella, and it's been great since then. And as you can see, it's just so many things that you can do within Scrum. I'm enjoying the position. I'm enjoying everything about Scrum, and yeah, just really glad to be here.
Absolutely. And so now I'm going to ask you more questions on your last statement, right? Talk about the many opportunities within Scrum, within being an Agile practitioner. Can you tell us more about what these opportunities are?
So you can upscale, right? There's some areas in Scrum where, as a Scrum Master, you don't have to have a technical background, right? Depending on the company you're working for, you don't have to have a technical background, but just having that Agile mentality and that mindset to being able to drive your team to become more mature in Agile. And then again, you can also, if you're technical, that's a big plus, right? So now you're able to speak the development language, right? And as well as implement Agile to your team. So there's several ways that you can go about it. You can even upscale to become an Agile coach, if that's a possibility for the companies, for you to upscale and become, to just throw some options out there.
Fabulous. Okay, so opportunities are within the Agile and the Scrum space. So question for you again is, how has your life changed ever since you got into the world of being in the Agile space or being a Scrum Master?
It's very interesting because, just a little background, I was actually in the tech world in the beginning stage, then moved to briefly to the education aspect. I know that was a big shift, right? Then back to the tech world. Just saying that to highlight that is very possible from whatever background that you're coming from. It's very possible to transition to becoming a Scrum Master, to becoming an Agilist, to becoming an Agile coach, right? Mm-hmm. Just making sure that you're able to be open-minded, take the different courses, and just understand what Agile truly is, right? So having that foundation, that strong foundation, is very, very essential. And that can definitely open up doors for you to get into that field. And once you get in and you're blessed enough to get, that opportunity in a really good company, man, there's endless opportunities, right? You can definitely grow as far as you want, right? Especially if that company provides that space for individuals. Absolutely.
And I believe that companies provide, some companies, of course, provide things like training, development, mentoring, sponsorship, and all of that. Have you been able to explore some of that in the companies that you've worked at?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have definitely a lot of mentors that I do a one-on-one with. I discuss my challenges with them, and they show me the ropes on how to overcome that challenges to help my team better, right? To become more agile. There's different courses that some companies offer for you to get to brush up your skills or even to upscale, right? So I've been fortunate enough to get into all that opportunities.
Okay. All right. So in your career experience, so far being in tech, and also even education, have you had any situation where you have faced any form of biasness or discrimination in your career? And how did you overcome them if you had?
I haven't, thankfully. I haven't, thankfully, but I do know it happens.
Right.
I can only speak for what, happens in the surface and what I see, but don't really can't speak on what happens in the background. But I'm fortunate enough to know that I have been involved in a very safe space.
Okay.
And I feel like I've been heard, and if anytime I have any ideas that I need to bring or implement into the team or into the company, they take it into consideration, right? So I wouldn't say I've experienced any bias, and I hope I don't, or anybody would go through that, So yeah.
Okay. I love what you say safe. Not everyone has that opportunity, right, to work in a safe environment. I mean, there's some career paths that are very male dominated. And even when they're not male dominated, still sometimes, some women are working, but they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe to talk about the fact that maybe they have to go pick up their kids from school, or they're not able to make it in because of just the pressure and the lack of trust within the team or the organization. So with your experience in such a safe environment where your voice is heard, which I think is so powerful, where you can influence change by sharing your opinion, what actions, right? And what are the things maybe your safe space actually does that anyone listening to this who says, well, I want to be able to replicate that same safety for my employees? What are the actions you think that individuals and organizations, right, can take to inspire like that greater safety, that greater degree of safety within either their team or within their organization?
Yeah, you actually highlighted one, which is trust, right? Building that trust, building that relationship with the individuals in your team or even outside of your team, right? So having one-on-ones with every, member of your team. And it doesn't even have to be about work, right? Something, interesting, talking about outside of work, to just build that rapport between yourself and your team members, right? So once they're able to see that, oh my goodness, my Scrum Master or my Agilist really, really cares about me, not only within the workspace, also outside of work.
Yes.
That's like the number one step to build that trust. And they can come to you for anything, right? And then you have the opportunity, right? The privilege to be able to help them overcome that challenge and just, suggest other solutions that they can implement.
That's a wonderful one. The one-on-ones, right? Have you, I know most times people think like when we're at work, it has to be about work. We can bring our personal baggage or personal, shenanigans into the workspace. But from my experience, I've really realized that it's always a balance because, of course, I think COVID did a number, but also people are also now realizing that they're also human beings and not just work machines. And they really want people to care about them as well. Are there anything within your organizations, for example, where they've shown that, well, we really care about the well-being of the people within this company?
Yeah. So for my team, so what I do is every Fridays, we call it Fun Fridays. I bring every member of my team together, and what we do, we only have one rule, right? Do not talk about anything work related. Okay. So, and I have seen so many progress that have come to play within my team where people are less tense, right? They're more vocal, right? And whatever they're discussing about. And obviously we're keeping it professional, right? But as well as being able to implement safety, okay? And being able to share our personal goals, right, to one another. So doing those little things, the teams definitely do appreciate those times. And also we can have coffee chat. Another thing is coffee chat. Bring your favorite coffee in the morning, sip on your coffee while we chat. Again, nothing about work, right? But we usually do it for like 30 minutes, right? But when those 30 minutes is up, then we're now rejuvenated, right? Now we focus on what our task is. For the day. Yeah.
That's absolutely great. And I truly believe like it starts from leadership too. Like you in that position, you being able to even share vulnerably, it helps your team do likewise, right? So thank you for sharing that. And I hope anyone who's paying attention to this, who's trying to figure out, well, how do I build that trust, that safety within my team or my organization? Just start with the one-on-ones and start with really caring about the person first before you care about the profit line, the revenue line, or just deliver
Yep.
both. So I think that's important. Okay. So what advice would you give to aspiring professionals who are looking to pursue a career in the Agile space? And again, we're kind of like reframing all of this back to the theme, right? We're talking about inspiring inclusion, inspiring women to invest in themselves, inspiring professionals who want to get into the Agile space to actually get into the Agile space, to take that course, to invest in their career growth, or for those who perhaps are facing bias or discrimination out there, to invest in figuring out how can we build a culture of inclusivity within my company, right? So now this question is more around the person who's aspiring to become a Scrum Master or an Agile practitioner. What advice would you give to that person?
Network. I know LinkedIn has a lot of different types of network options that you can be part of, and groups. It really helps. At the end of the day, you may know someone that knows someone that knows someone, right? That can actually get you into a company that you want, right? And also taking courses, brushing up your skills, asking questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Asking question. If you don't understand, ask question. And guess what? Once you ask that question, you have your answer, right? And just building upon the knowledge that you have. And I feel like the biggest thing is networking.
Okay, networking. So what have you found the most rewarding about your role so far?
Oh, man. The people, the connections that I've made, my team members. It's just, again, if you are fortunate enough to get a company that really creates that space, it's a huge blessing, right? Having people who actually want to see you succeed, sharing different information that said, oh, okay, for example, Rachel, I came across this article about Agile that I think you may also see value in. Wow. Just building those connection and having those type of people around you, right, has been absolutely rewarding, right? And also helping people understand what Agile is. Especially if you're coming to a new team and they're probably maybe transitioning from like waterfall to Agile, there might be some kind of backlash, like, why are we doing this? What's Agile? Right. So that's where you have your, coaching skill. Right. Give them that coaching that they need, explaining the why Agile and why it's important, and the impact, the valuable impact it's going to play within the roles and within the different teams that you may be leading.
Amazing. So being able to just explain the why Agile, also the people, and people just sharing with you, right? And just, again, going back to safety and trust that you've talked about quite a bit. So now in retrospect, right? So I'm thinking about this from another angle. Like, imagine someone who, like, maybe a woman, a mom, or just a woman in general, a career professional who's wanted to get into a space that is safe. They want to work in an environment that there's no cattiness or drama going on, toxicity going on. How would you advise them where they're able to decipher that, maybe during the interview phase, right? Because sometimes it's hard because someone can tell you like that, all of that and more, and then you go in and it's
something's different.
But let's influence what we can influence. Let's control what we can control. And one of the things we can control is the kind of questions we ask during an interview. So what kind of questions would you recommend to someone to ask during an interview to be able to figure out, is this a place I want to work in, or maybe no?
That's actually a good question. Again, it all goes back to the interview question, understanding what the environment is like, right? Maybe asking a question is, what does your day-to-day look like, right? From there, you can see, okay, they really spent a lot of time on their work and less time with actually knowing each other or, building that relationship. Again, like you said, it's very hard. People can tell you one thing, and when you get there, you're like, what? This is not what we discussed during the interview. But asking the right questions, and hopefully they're telling you the right things and what you want to hear, and hopefully what they tell you within the interview is what is translated in the real world, right?
Sure.
When you get there. Day to day, what does your day to day look like? What activities do you implement within the team? You know, is it always work? I know, yes, we come to work, but at the same time, it's so important to understand people, right? To get to know people, their personal life. I know some people may not want to share a lot about, their personal world, but making that gesture, right? Making that effort to actually know. And I feel like people will really, really value that and be grateful for that. So yeah, just making sure that you're asking the right questions, and Google is your friend. Go on Google, possible questions to ask interviewers, within Agile space, and you're definitely going to get a lot of results. Yep.
I mean, talk about the day in the life, right?
Well, yep.
A day in life, I feel like, could even mean different things to different persons. And so for, again, anyone who's trying to figure out how do I identify the company that would be inclusive, sometimes, like we said, you might ask the right question and you go into a whole different ball game. But I think one question that would help highlight that would be, what are like the HR initiatives around work-life balance? Able to figure out if, they really care about the people based on what is being said. But again, I also understand, that HR could have the best initiatives, but people are too busy to actually enjoy it. That's a bigger problem, right? And so I think really getting the people to share like the day in the life, like you mentioned, or how do they manage work-life balance, asking them upfront and seeing what their response is. Even how do you care for the welfare of the people within your company is another great question, right? And asking the right person. When you ask the manager, because the manager is very important, right? Ask the manager, someone who might be potentially your teammate, because you might have different answers. Managers can be like, I love my team. The teammates can be like, well, I am burnt out. So very thin, right? So, but I think, thank you so much for answering that. I think that's such an important question, honestly, for people who are trying to figure out, well, how do I make the right choices on that? Okay, so another question for you would be around just, how do you, leverage your voice, use your voice to just ensure that there is inclusivity happening within your team? I know you talked about it's a safe environment, so maybe you're even already doing that without even thinking about it, because you don't have to fuss it because it's already natural where you're at. But I'm curious to hear one example on how you lend your voice towards ensuring that women are heard, or women voices are heard, or not just women, but just there's that inclusivity and you're inspiring inclusion within your team or department.
Yeah, so within my organization, there are different groups. Like for example, we have a group called Black Heritage, right, for women in tech, Black women in tech, and maybe using that space to voice out, okay, here are some ideas that we can also implement, right, to bring more women into tech, right? So within the organization, I feel like they do have avenues already in place, right, to bring that inclusiveness into the teams or into the organization, right? So finding out what groups are out there, right, so that you can be a part of and make an impact and share your input or your suggestions.
Absolutely. So identify groups that already exist that have the same vision or mission, and get plugged in, use your voice, be an ally, or do something, because again, like, this would not solve itself, right? We might be in an environment that is safe, a safe environment, an inclusive environment, but there might be another environment that is not the same. And so we have somebody else, another woman in another environment who is also struggling. And so the case of, well, I'm just safe in my corner, but tomorrow we never know what other places we're going to get into, right? And so ensuring that we are advocating for ourselves, our career growth as women, ensuring that our voices are being used to request for our rights. We are putting our hands up at work. We're taking on, serious work, and not just work that everybody thinks is a woman's job to do at work, and things like that. I think is important because a lot of people are still coming just right behind us, right? So I'm glad that you do have that initiative within the company that is definitely trying to inspire more women to get into tech. So that's great. Okay. So another question I have for you, and we're coming towards the end of the questions. I know I've been asking so many questions, but do you have a personal mantra or a personal philosophy that has guided you throughout your career journey?
I would say just stay true to who you are, because I know sometimes some implementation within the organization might change your values, right? Or change how you view things, right? But knowing who you are as a person won't allow you to give into the new culture or new way of doing things, right? I feel like in voicing your voice matters. Believe it or not, it does. Even if it's not being implemented right away, your ideas or anything like that, but at least you've made the effort to actually put those ideas out there, right? So I would say being true to yourself, open up more and share your thoughts and share your ideas, because you never know what that idea may lead to the next day, so those are my two major things.
Okay, so share your voice matters, share your ideas. Okay, one more question I have for you is what does the future look like for you? What does that next step look like for you? What are some of the professional goals or aspirations that you do have?
So my next step, like I mentioned earlier, there's some companies where, they give you the ability to upscale, right? But for right now, my next step is to be a little bit more technical, right? Because that technicality will be a plus. Do you understand? Being a little bit more technical, spending more time with my dev team to understand the technical language. So when these languages are being used in meetings or anywhere, there's a click and I understand, I fully understand what is going on, right? It's good to be agile, but also a big plus to understand the technical aspect, because you are catering to the developers, you're catering to your PM, you're catering to your Q, you're catering to a lot of technical individuals within your team. So it will be a plus for you to also get a bit technical. I'm not saying that you should go ahead and start learning how to code or anything like that. Hey, if you want to, fine. But for my goal right now is just understanding terminologies and understanding how things work in the technical world. Yeah,
absolutely. So upskilling is very important. Again, even with being trying to make sure that we have a seat at the table or we have a space in the room, we have to also come learn it. We have to also come knowing what it is that is being discussed as well. So kudos to you for thinking futuristic and investing in your career growth as well. And another question I have for you is that what are you maybe most particularly proud of in your career so far? Like maybe it's one thing or multiple things, any achievements you want to share?
The biggest one is the maturity of my team, right? So I came into this team fully new team. They knew nothing about Agile. I think they were only maybe 2 months into Agile. So they were fairly very, very new. So came in, did what I know how to do, right? Like I said earlier, doing some training on understanding why Agile, the importance of Agile, and understanding the different Scrum events. And why do we do retrospective? Why do we do our daily Scrum? And so on and so forth, right? So as we progressed, safe to say that I can actually take off some time off work and know that my team is good, right? They're able to even run those ceremonies, efficiently by themselves, right? So I feel like that's one of my biggest accomplishment, because gauging back to the beginning, it was a lot of learning, a whole lot of hand holding, but now it's kind of like, oh, okay, they've gone to a space where, okay, Rachel's out of office. We can do this, we can do this. So that's one big one.
Okay. Congratulations, by the way, for that.
Thank you.
I can imagine the journey for that one. So last question, right? What advice would you give to that woman who perhaps was you maybe a couple of years ago?
Oh, don't give up. I know the market is tough right now on Scrum, and I know someone might be looking for some positions. I was right. I was literally in that shoe. Stella, I was literally, I applied to so many different companies. You just need that one yes.
Yeah.
And if I had given up, I don't think I would be where I am today. So just want to encourage anyone out there who has applied to 5, 6, 10, 20 different companies. Just don't. I know it's easier said than done, but please just don't give up, because that one yes will literally change your life. That's like my biggest encouragement. Right there. And also, like I said earlier, network with other professionals. You never know where your blessing might be. And
one yes can change your life. Wow. Don't give up. Not give up. I know you said it's easier said than done. I absolutely agree, and I can relate to that, but honestly, sometimes it's just pushing through, because that tunnel will definitely end, and there'll be light at the end too. So, well, is there any question I should have asked, or anything else you want to share that maybe I haven't had the opportunity of asking you that question? Anything in your mind?
No, I think you've covered majority of it. I just want to add to the last question. So when you do get that one yes, you look back and be like, oh, wow, I actually did it. It's a good feeling. It's a really great feeling. Just keep pushing.
Awesome. You've heard from Miss Rachael. Keep pushing. Do not give up. One yes can change your life. I want to say thank you for spending your time with me today. I really appreciate sharing your journey, your background, things that people should look out for when they're trying to figure out if they should go to a particular company, questions that they should ask during an interview, the power of just one yes that can change your life, your achievement within your team, and just being an amazing career professional, a trailblazer, doing her work, who invested in herself. So I'm always rooting for you. I'm proud of you, as always. You already know that, but I think the main thing is you're, of course, proud of yourself too. So that is all that matters. So thank you so much, Rachael.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really enjoyed being here with you, Stella.
Thank you so much.